What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Fausto Sports Podcast. I am your host, Walla Fausto, and I know it's been a while. I know it has been a while, and I'm very sorry about that, folks. I know I've been wanting to put out an episode soon, but unfortunately, an illness got sick, and I was just sneezing a lot, coughing a lot of icky stuff that I don't want to get into or talk about it here on the podcast, because we're here to talk about sports. We're here to talk about my favorite sports, keep you guys updated with, sports that I like to follow, or maybe you also like to follow as well. So let's just get straight into it here. So today's topic of this episode, we're jumping right back to the sport of Supercross or Supermotocross, however you want to call it. I mean, it's the exact same sport in general. But the Supercross season is going on right now, the Monster Energy AMA Supercross season, to be specific. And where we last left off, where I last left off talking about the sport, we had just finished with round 3, I believe. Round 3, which I believe round 3 was, no, it was not San Francisco, it was San Diego. That's what it was, San Diego. That's where I last left off from keeping up you guys with the whole season so far. But now I'm just going to be here and just break down everything one by one very quickly, just in case you guys like to hear from me how the season is going so far in the sport of Supercross and my thoughts about it, so on and so forth. All right, so let's get straight into it here. So I'm going to announce basically the previous winners from the past rounds that I have just passed recently, of course, with the past few weeks or so-and-so. So let's see here. Starting off first, so the previous round winners. So Anaheim 2, that's where we are. That, like I said, after San Diego, then round 4, which is in Anaheim 2, and so this was the 250 West class that raced in here, and so first place on that one was Levi Kitchen and the Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki taking the win that day, and this was a Triple Crown race as well. So the Triple Crown races, in case y'all people forgot, so the Triple Crown races in the sport of Supercross, it is basically 3 main events, 3 separate races, and it's like Olympic scoring system. Low score wins. If you get first place, you get 1 point, second place 2 points, so on and so forth, all the way down to 22nd place. So you want to finish on the top, of course, in all 3 main events. That's the best spot you want to be. Just finish in the front of the pack. So Levi Kitchen, like I said, got first place in that one of the 250 West. Second place was RJ Hampshire in the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna team. And then third place was Nate Thrasher. Good to see him on the podium that weekend for the Monster Energy Star Racing Yamaha team. So that rounds off the podium there for the 250 West in Anaheim 2. And then for the 450 class, the Premier class, first place was none other than Cooper Webb, taking the first Triple Crown win of the season. Cooper Webb in the Star Racing Yamaha team, he took the win there. Second place was his teammate Eli Tomac, ET3. He's back on the podium for that round as well. And in third place, it was none other than the cowboy himself, Aaron Plessinger, on the Red Bull KTM team. So that was Anaheim 2, round 4 of the season. And now moving on, we go to round 5, which was in Detroit. And that was the start of the East Coast. The 250 East Coast started racing there, the first round for them. And so taking first place there in Detroit was none other than Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki, Austin Faulkner. Glad to see him doing good that weekend, taking the win in Detroit. Love to see it. Second place was Max Anstie in the Firepower Honda Racing team. He's from the UK, but I do follow Max Anstie. Great guy, great rider, family guy and all that, And glad to see, a nice, happy, and a good face, on the podium, It's a privateer based team that he's racing on. It's not factory at all. So it's good to see him and the team do successful in the first round of the East Coast. And then third place on the podium was none other than Daxton Bennick, the rookie, racing for Monster Energy Star Racing Yamaha team, teammates with Hayden Deegan. And man, that weekend in Detroit, if you guys had watched the racing in Detroit, that start, the whole shot going to the first turn on the 250 East class, oh my god, it was crazy. And some memes that came out that weekend as well. If you know, you know. Shout out Cameron McAdoo. Shout out to Cameron McAdoo. And then moving on to the 450 class, the Premier class, first place that weekend in Detroit, it was Jet Lawrence picking up his second win of the season. Second place was Chase Sexton. Glad to see him once again, of course, back up on the podium after, a few rough weekends. Chase Sexton got back on the podium there in Detroit, taking second place for the Red Bull KTM team. And then third place was Ken Roxon on the factory progressive Suzuki team. So glad to see those boys up on the podium. And then we move on to Glendale, Arizona. I was there, and I'll tell you guys more about it right now, my experience of it. But in Glendale, round number 6, we go back to the 250 West Coast Division. And so taking first place there was RJ Hampshire in the Rockstar Factory Husqvarna team. He did really good. I know my boy who's watching this episode, Team X, Tyler McGuire, shout out to him. He predicted that RJ Hampshire was going to win. He was right on the money. I think RJ came from like 4th off the start and then fought his way up to first due to a few riders making mistakes, but he was perfect and clean, throughout the entire race. So shout out to RJ Hampshire. And then taking second place in Glendale was Levi Kitchen, who also walks away with a points lead for the 250 West class. And of course, I'll talk about the point standings right now. But Levi Kitchen going to take second there in Glendale. And then third place was Joe Shimoda. Glad to see him on the podium for the factory Honda racing team. And Shimoda, he has not had the best start to this year and to this season. But I know that, shout out to my little brother, Jazz Fausto. He's a huge Joe Shimoda fan, and I loved it when whenever I was like, oh, Jazz, Joe Shimoda's about to race, immediately like all interested in Supercross, all into it now, and I love that. I love to see, my little brother who Jazz, he's not so much of a sports guy. Jazz, he's not the type of guy who follows too much sports, but he'll take some interest here and there, in some things, of course, like BMX and all that. But with Supercross, he wasn't really, he's not really let's just say a Supercross, motocross type of guy. Like, he loves riding dirt bikes, but he's not really into the sport until now. He wasn't into the sport until now. And but he was a huge Joe Shimoda fan, and he was happy that Joe Shimoda made it up on the podium. So shout out Joe Shimoda. Good job, buddy. And so moving on there to the premier class, the 450 class, I predicted this guy winning the race. Shout out to my boy Kyle Jensen, because I helped him out with this one. I had a good feeling about this guy winning in Glendale. I had a good feeling. Looked at the qualifying times. He's won here multiple times in Glendale. And so shout out to my boy Ken Roxon taking the win in Glendale, Arizona. Loved it. He basically led the whole race, start to finish, perfect laps, no mistakes made, and throw a fat whip over the finish line, which was awesome to see. And then taking second place in Glendale was Jason Anderson in the Monster Energy Kawasaki team. He did pretty good as well. Started off pretty much second throughout the entire race and kept it all the way through the line. No mistakes from him, except that, he just wasn't the fastest guy that night. But hey, a second's a second, and that's good for him, good for the points, good for the team in general. So good job to Jason Anderson there. And then taking third step on the podium was Jet Lawrence, who started mid-pack, almost went down actually in the first lap, almost being taken out by Cooper Webb. Well, not really taken out, but Cooper Webb shut the door on him, and Jet Lawrence just kind of got squirrely and almost went down, hitting a tough block. So, but he saved it, and he managed to come back past Eli Tomac and a bunch of other riders to manage to get third on the podium and for Glendale. So that was Glendale there. And then on to round 7, which was in Arlington, Texas. And then it was the second race for the 250 East Coast riders. And so taking first place that race was none other than Hayden Deegan, taking his first ever Pro Supercross win in Arlington, Texas. So congratulations to Hayden Deegan. Good job for him and for the Star Racing Yamaha team. It was a great and successful weekend for him, for the family, and for the team in general. So shout out to Hayden Deegan. Congratulations there. Taking second place on the podium was Cameron McAdoo, which, of course, if you know the memes. You'll know who this guy is if you follow the sport. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then maybe go on YouTube, Instagram, any other social media account, and just look up Cameron McAdoo, and then you will see you will see what I'm talking about and why I laugh so much about him. But he's a great rider. No, don't get me wrong. He did nothing bad. It was not on him. Great rider though. And happy to see him do well, keep it on 2 wheels, and take it all the way to the checkered flag for second on the podium. And then third place was none other than Tom Vial, the French rider, riding for Red Bull KTM, taking third, getting points there. So can't complain there. So congratulations to those 3 riders in the 250 East Coast division. And now moving on, of course, to the 450 Premier class. Taking first place in Arlington was none other than Cooper Webb, taking another win in Arlington. I believe that was his 6th or 7th win. I believe he's the king of Texas, apparently, king of Arlington. So Cooper Webb keeping it together, not pulling off Jet Lawrence and crashing with 2 minutes left on the clock or whatever. And yeah, I mean, Cooper Webb was pretty much in second place in the entire race. And then Jet Lawrence, of course, made 2 mistakes, went down, and that just gave Cooper Webb, a smooth way towards the finish line of the checker flag to pick up his second win of the season. And then taking second place was once again Eli Tomac. So we may be seeing a pattern here. Whenever Cooper Webb wins, Tomac is there to follow behind. So yeah, Tomac getting second there in Arlington. And then third place once again was Aaron Plessinger, who, now that I think about it, that is the exact same podium, I believe. Yeah, that was the exact same podium as Anaheim too. That's actually, I didn't even notice that. That's actually hilarious. So Aaron Plessinger taking third there in Arlington. So the boys making it up on the podium there. And then now, just recently this past Saturday, we're back into, basically the present now. This past Saturday was Daytona, which was round number 8 of the Supercross season. And of course, Ricky Carmichael being the designer of the track and stuff like that. Honestly, the track looked cool. A lot of cool sections to the track. The only issue that I have with Daytona is that the dirt there, I'm sorry, but it sucks. The dirt there just sucks. I mean, they had to bring in clay dirt from I don't know where, probably somewhere like in Atlanta or something, since they have that type of dirt there. They had to bring clay dirt over here to Daytona, Florida, just to help shape up some of the jumps. And then even the whoop section was made out of this clay, like red clay dirt. And even then, it just, the whoop section was just absolute garbage and it broke apart. So yeah, that's the only issue that I have with the Daytona race weekend. It's just that the track itself, it just breaks apart and breaks down so badly. I'm sure for those riders, for the riders racing on that track, it's just a struggle. It's just an absolute struggle. And then plus it rained too on the race day, for practice, and then even the day before. So it wasn't the best, I guess, track conditions, I guess you could say. But anyways, so round 8 Daytona, yeah, so the 250 East Coast raced this one once again, and taking his first ever Supercross career win in the 250 class was none other than Tom Vial in Red Bull KTM, the French rider, taking his first ever Supercross career win. So congratulations to Tom Vial. Good job, buddy. Making KTM proud here, as of course I'm a KTM fan, Red Bull KTM fan, Ryan Dungey, shout out to him. Shout out to the boy right there. And then taking second place in the 250 East was none other than Cameron McAdoo. He was back on the podium and ran a smooth, clean race. Just basically held down pretty much second the entire race. And then taking third place on the podium was Seth Hammaker, who is the teammate of Cameron McAdoo, part of Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki. Glad to see him on the podium. He got a win last year, I believe. I believe he got a win. I don't remember which round it was in the 250 East Coast, but he did get a win. He got his first ever career win. And but now he's back on the podium, so it's good for him. And again, good for the Pro Circuit Kawasaki team. So that wraps up the 250 East Coast. And then in the 450 Premier class, it was Jet Lawrence taking his third win of the season there, beating Eli Tomac, who takes home once again second place. And then third place was Chase Sexton, back up on the podium. Chase didn't actually look too bad. He did make a mistake in the heat races. He did go down. He was gaining on Ken Roczen. But he did make a little late race mistake going into the final couple of corners and went down, but got up, got the whole shot in the main event, led about a quarter way through the race, and then he was just starting to, I don't know, maybe it was fatigue or it had to do so with his hand being injured back in Glendale. But he still didn't look too bad. Chase Sexton, but it's still good to see him on the podium. It's still good points for him and good for him championship wise, which brings us to the point standings now. So I will be giving you all the point standings from the 250 West to the 250 East and then the 450 Premier class. So starting off with the point standings for the 250 West. In first place for the points lead, carrying the red plate through, it is Levi Kitchen with 106 points. Second place behind him is Jordan Smith with 102 points, only 4 points behind him there. And then in third place, it is RJ Hampshire with 101 points, so he's only 5 behind. And then Fourth place, we have Garrett Marchbanks with 87 points. And then fifth place is Joe Shimoda with 74 points. So Garrett Marchbanks and Joe Shimoda, they're kind of outside, a little bit of the title chase. But, I mean, in Supercross, anything can happen. So don't count them out just yet. And then let's see here. So then moving on to the 250 East Coast, in first place with the points lead, it is none other than Max Anstey, who has been keeping it consistent within the top 5 positions. So he's keeping it together than most of the riders, which is actually impressive. So Max Anstey and the Firepower Honda Racing Team, he has the points lead with 52 points, and then tied up for second, or I guess if you call it second and third in points tied up, it is Cameron McAdoo and Pierce Brown with 51 points. So Max Anstey is just barely hanging on that red plate by 1 point. If he hadn't finished within the top 10, or I think he finished 7th, I believe, in Daytona. So if he had not gotten past that final rider to get 7th, I believe he would have, I think it would have been a 3-way tie for the points lead. So that would have been crazy. But he's still hanging on to it, Anstey. So second and third, once again, it is Cameron McAdoo and Pierce Brown with 51 points. And then sitting fourth and fifth in points, funny enough, it is Tom Vial and Hayden Deegan, both sharing 49 points in the championship standings. So Deegan, I mean, he didn't start off good, of course, if you follow the sport, or if you don't know, I mean, back when they raced, I believe it was Arlington, right? Was it Arlington? No, it was Detroit. In Detroit, of course, if you didn't see already, there was a big pileup in the first turn in Detroit, and it involved, of course, Hayden Deegan going down. He twisted his handlebars. I think he only finished 16th, so it wasn't the best, of course, start of the season for Hayden Deegan, but now he's making the comeback, sitting 5th in points, which is really good for him. And then in the 450 Premier Class Championship point standings, it is Jet Lawrence out in front still with the red plate with 160 points. And then following behind him in second place is Cooper Webb with 150 points. So only 10 behind. So Webb is still keeping him on it. Webb is still keeping Jet Lawrence on it. Third place in points, it is Chase Sexton with 147 points. So 13 behind there on Jet Lawrence. So again, still keeping close. So Cooper Webb and Chase Sexton, they're right there almost. They're right there on Jet Lawrence. I mean, all it takes is one bad race to lose the points lead, So, Jet Lawrence, he's got work to do, It ain't over till it's over. And then sitting fourth place in points is Eli Tomac, the guy, the legend. He's sitting fourth with 144 points. And then fifth place is Ken Roczen with 133 points. And so that is the point standings right there, ladies and gentlemen, for all three divisions, the 250 West, the 250 East, and the 450 class. So hopefully you got all that. Hopefully you were keeping up there. Sorry in advance if I'm talking a little too fast. Just trying to get through the episode. It might be a little bit of a quick episode, this one, just because, it's been a while. And so I just want to get this one through and done with, and just making sure that I get all the announcements in and everything like that. And then, while I'm at it here, why not? I'm thirsty. So shout out to Prime. Hey, if they could sponsor this podcast, that would be great. Thank you. And also, sorry in advance if I do end up coughing. Just a lot of talking. Good stuff. There we go. Alrighty then. So moving on to the next thing to talk about here on the podcast. So, in Daytona, if you guys were watching on Peacock or NBC Sports, I believe those are the only two where they show the races. They just announced the Super Motocross playoff rounds, which I am very excited for, especially for the third race, the finale. I'm excited for that one. So let's get into it then. So the playoff announcements here, the playoff round announcement for Super Motocross. So sorry about that once again. God, I have to edit where I turn off the volume there for that. I don't want you guys to hear that on the microphone. I apologize though again in advance. So anyways here, so the playoff rounds. So once again, if you guys do not remember, so the playoff rounds basically are the final 3 rounds in the Super Motocross season. So there are 17 Supercross rounds, 17. Then you have 11 motocross races, which is the outdoor races, and then you have finally the 3 playoff rounds. And the only way to qualify into these playoff rounds is they combine your points from the Supercross races and the motocross races together. And the top, I believe it is the top the top like 40 riders or something like that, or like the top, I forgot what it was. I think it might have been like the top like 35 riders, something like that, or like top 36 riders that qualify for this race, because because they still have last chance qualifiers. So riders who qualify for these playoff rounds, they don't have to go through the last chance qualifier. They're already in. And these races for both the lights riders and the premier class riders, the 450 class, the playoff rounds, they're 2 main events. It's not like a triple crown race, but it is 2 main event races. And again, like Olympic scoring system, lowest score wins after the 2 main events. And within every playoff round, points increase. So round 1, points are just going to be, like regular points. Like if it was Supercross, Motocross. Then the second round of the playoffs, points are doubled. So the race is worth more points, however you finish. And then the third race, points are then tripled. So it's a big deal, these playoff rounds. And of course, riders, or one rider, can walk away with $10 million, in the bag, if they win all 3 rounds. So each, after, 3 playoff rounds, riders, they get paid. They get big money for these rounds. So it is very important for these riders to do good in these playoff rounds. But anyways, so where will these playoff rounds be? Well, glad you asked. So here we go. The first round of the Super Motocross playoffs the first round will be at the ZMAX Dragway at Charlotte Motor Speedway in Concord, North Carolina. It is returning back last year. That was where the first playoff round was. And now they're bringing it back there to Charlotte Motor Speedway, the ZMAX Dragway. And that race will be taking place. It's taking place on September 7th, 2024. So keep an eye on that. Gosh, I can't believe I did that. I'm talking too much here. But anyways, yep, September 7th, 2024. That will be round number 1 of the Monster Energy Super Motocross playoffs there. Then after that, we go on to round 2 of the Super Motocross playoffs, which will be back in Texas. Since they had races in Arlington, Texas, but they're going back in Texas. Last year it was, I believe, where was it at last year? I believe last year it was at Atlanta. I want to say it was at another like a motor speedway, like a NASCAR track. It wasn't Daytona. I believe it was Atlanta. If I had to remember, I believe it was Atlanta. I could be wrong. I can't really remember what the second round was. But yeah, anyway, so second round, we're going back to Texas at the Texas Motor Speedway in Fort Worth, Texas. And that race will be taking place on September 14th of this year, 2024. So that should be an interesting race, honestly. That should be an interesting race. I feel like with that race, just like how it was last year in the second round, I feel like of course, the first race at Charlotte Motor Speedway, I feel like that racetrack, like how the track layout is going to be more of a supercross style of a track rather than motocross, because that's what they try to do in these playoff rounds. In these playoff races, they try to put together both of a supercross and motocross feel to the track. So it challenges to the riders to make them test the bikes and make sure, like, should I go with the supercross suspension or a motocross type of suspension, soft or hard? What tires should I use? It all comes into play for these riders to make sure, like, okay, which section can I go the fastest and which one am I going to lose time to, but it will still help me gain more time and try to win the race or stay out in front. It's a lot of play. It's almost like F1. It's a lot of strategy that goes into this race, and to try to prepare not only yourself but also your bike to try to be the fastest bike out there on the track with these playoff races. But like I said, I feel like Charlotte Motor Speedway, round 1 of the playoffs, it's going to be more of a supercross style of a track, because that's how it kind of was last year. Charlotte Motor Speedway is more of a supercross round. or not Supercross, not Supercross style of a race course. And then I feel like at Texas Motor Speedway, it's going to be more of a motocross style of a track rather than Supercross, just because it's more wide open of an area, which means that the straightaways are going to be longer. I feel like it might be like less jumps. It's going to be more of a fast-paced track, like how motocross is. Motocross, it's really fast-paced. And it's just like a lot of straightaways, not a whole lot of jumps, but there's still big jumps, and I'm pretty sure they're still going to add like triples and a little bit of the Supercross element, of course, at the Texas Motor Speedway round. And then the one I am most excited for, the third and final race of the Super Motocross playoff rounds, the finale, will be taking place in none other than the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway in Las Vegas, Nevada. It is back, ladies and gentlemen. Supercross or Super Motocross is back in Vegas. They have not raced there since 2019 when Cooper Webb took home his first ever Supercross championship for Team Red Bull KTM. And man, it's good to see, and it's good to hear that it's back in Vegas. When I first saw the announcement that I was going to Vegas again, oh my God, I was jumping off the couch. I was just super pumped and super stoked. Like, I couldn't believe that it was going to be back in Vegas. I honestly thought, and I thought to myself like this a couple of times, I would have thought that they would have brought Supercross, at least Supercross, not motocross, but Supercross back in Vegas for like the finale race or something. And they would have the race inside the Allegiant, I think it's called Allegiant Stadium, where the Las Vegas, Nevada Raiders play the football stadium. I would have thought that Supercross would maybe move back into Vegas, but inside of Allegiant Stadium. I felt like that would have been cool. That would have been so cool, honestly, because, of course, it's one of the newest state-of-the-art, best football stadiums out there in the world. And honestly, I'm a little bit jealous, and I kind of want to go see the stadium and, go inside of it and experience it. But, nonetheless, the race is still in Vegas, and I'm super excited about that. It's another excuse, for me and the family to go and watch some races, go to Vegas, and have some fun there. But once again, it is going to be located at the Strip, not the actual Strip, but it's a drag race, and that's what it's a drag speedway. And that's what they call it, the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway in Las Vegas, Nevada. And the date on it is on September 21st, 2024, my mom's birthday. So, Mom, if you're watching this and you're listening, well, guess what? Guess how we're going to celebrate your birthday. Sorry, not sorry. We're gonna take you to go watch Super Motocross with us. Oh, my goodness. But, yeah, I'm super stoked, super happy, excited for the playoff rounds, of course, since, it is such a huge thing. And, it's a big thing for the sport of Super Motocross, for all these riders. It gives them a chance, to prove to themselves, prove to the world that they are the best racer, and not only just Supercross, but also motocross. And it gives them a chance to take home big, big money so they can eat good and possibly retire early, because you never know. But anyways, so moving on to the next topic of this podcast series, I want to talk to you guys about, of course, my Glendale Supercross experience. It was a fun one. Right off the bat, we left early in the morning, of course. If you guys don't remember, or if you don't know, I currently live in Tucson, Arizona. I will not give out my address, but I live here in Tucson, Arizona. And so the drive to Glendale is about, I want to say, like almost 2.5 hours of a drive, Honestly, it's not too bad. Got up early in the morning, and me and like the whole crew. So many of us went. Shout out to my boy Sammy Montijo, Connor Knibb, Kyle Jensen, Payne Eccles, Tyler McGuire, Jonathan, Jeanette, all you guys out there, all the buddies. We were just one whole pack going to watch this awesome event. That is Supercross. And, it's my favorite sport in the world. And to be able to share the moment and experience it with, all my friends, who are basically, pretty much call my family. And it was just so much fun. I love it. And, my girlfriend, she tagged along with me. And, it was such a happy moment for me, to share that moment with my girlfriend. Shout out to you, Marianne. Then, we took a bunch of pictures. She helped me, kind of like, I was a little bit, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I still get starstruck, seeing all these Supercross riders, because it's like, I don't, apologize for that. I know it's not like I talk to these, riders, on a daily basis. Like I talk so much about them, of course, on the podcast and all to my, all of my friends and stuff. But it is still like, oh my God, like that's him. Like that's him. Like I'm actually seeing him. Like I usually just see, these riders on the TV. I don't see them in person. So it's just like that rush feeling like, oh my God, like that's them. Like I actually see them. Like I can walk up to him and shake his hand if I wanted to. But I'm scared to, I'm just scared to. And thankfully my girlfriend, she, she's like, here, let me just do it for you. She just walks up to them and is like, hey, do you mind if I take a picture with you? I'm just like, thank you. I'm like, thank you. I'm like, thanks, babe. Thank you. Oh my God. But like I said, but in the beginning, let me just break it down for you. So in the beginning, as soon as, we got pretty much to the stadium, the gates to the parking lot pretty much haven't even opened yet. They weren't letting us go inside and park. So we were just literally waiting in a car line, just trying to get in to the parking lot into the stadium. And while we were there, we saw a few familiar faces. I mean, come right by us. I mean, they had the BMX triple challenge there, the Monster Energy BMX triple challenge. And we saw Nitro Circus and, basically one of the best, athletes in the world. Ryan Williams, he was there. Took a picture with them. And if you haven't seen already, I posted all these pictures with all the people that I saw and met there on my Instagram. Check it out. I'll just put it right there on the bottom of the screen in case you haven't checked it out and follow me. Please give a like and a follow while you're at it there at the Instagram page. Met Ryan Williams there. I saw Scotty Kramer, him and his wife, they just drove right by in the car. I'm sure he was there helping out with the BMX Triple Challenge, announcing the event that was going on there. And then, so we saw basically two big names in the sport of BMX freestyle there right away, which was really awesome. And then, once we got inside of the parking lot and everything like that, we went inside, we got our tickets, went inside of the stadium. I briefly looked at the track and just got that whole feeling again of being at the Supercross races, because it has been a while for all of us. So it was just so nice to get that feeling back again. Then went into the pit area and we were just, checking out, some of the things, got to meet up, or not meet up, I guess, but got to see some familiar faces. They were locals here in Tucson, Arizona, but they since now live in California. And Kevin Peraza, if you do not know him, oh my God, he is one of the most down to earth, one of the nicest guys in the world. And love the guy. I mean, he's one bad dude on a BMX bike. If you do not know who Kevin Peraza is, look him up right now, because he can do insane tricks on a BMX bike. I mean, the guy is, I want to say this, not because I'm biased or nothing, but I literally am genuinely saying this out of honesty here. He is got to be, Kevin Peraza, one of the best, one of the greatest, one of the best all around BMX riders. Because not only can this guy do BMX park, but he could do BMX dirt jumps and BMX street, and he has won all three of those gold medals in the X Games. The guy can do it all. Kevin Peraza is literally, I mean, of course, he's already cemented himself as a legend in the sport of freestyle BMX. So shout out to KP, Kevin Peraza. We saw him there along with his little brother, Victor Peraza, good buddies with them, good buddies with the whole family. So shout out to them, the Peraza family. They were living it up. And then also got to meet another BMX rider from Aussie, Liam Quinley. He was there, and I mean, I followed this guy on BMX. I followed him actually like when he was first, he was first popping up on the BMX scene, and I saw clips of him, going to different parks, just trying out different tricks. He went to Ryan Williams' house, he was, doing double backflips, double front flips and stuff like that. And I followed this guy for a while, and then I saw him there in Glendale. And I was pretty much the only guy there out of my entire group who knew who he was. And so literally another cool guy. I said what's up to him. He came down over here, he asked me what my name was, and we were just having a little chat, just two lads having a little chat, and it was just awesome. Took a picture with them. And I mean, it was just so cool. It was just such a cool experience to talk to them and stuff like that. And then excuse me. And then after that, we walked around, got me some. I mean, I'll admit I'm not the biggest Jet Lawrence fan, but I couldn't say no to his donuts because I mean I like donuts. I mean, who doesn't like a good donut? So I wanted to get the full Supercross experience, and I got me some Jet Lawrence donuts. I got me some donuts there, funny enough, and I actually do think I still have the box here. Watch, yeah, here it is. The Jetson Donuts is what it's called. So I got me a box of donuts, and were they good donuts? Yes, they were good donuts. How much? I mean, if you consider $30 to be expensive box of donuts, I mean, it only came with four. I mean, they were pretty big size. I'm not gonna lie, they were actually pretty big size of donuts. But if you think $30 is too much, then yeah, I may have gotten ripped off there. Oh man, don't tell the Lawrence brothers I said that. But anyways, after I got me some donuts to share around and blah blah blah, then we walked around the pit area for a little bit. The riders, they were out doing their practice laps right now, qualifying. So we weren't it wasn't time for the autograph signings yet. So then we walked around a little bit. For some of the autograph signings, you need to get yourselves like a special like ticket because they only give out like a specific amount for some of the fans there. So I was able to manage and snag a Ken Roczen signing ticket, and then and then after that, then I went over to the Red Bull KTM booth because practice was about to end soon, and then we saw Chase Sexton and Aaron Plessinger roll up to the tent. It was awesome. Got to ask Aaron Plessinger a couple of questions, and congratulate him on getting his first ever Supercross victory in San Diego. So it was awesome. It was cool. Of course, the whole starstruck of just seeing them in person and just taking it in. Just taking it in. It was awesome. And then after that, we walked around a little bit more in the pit area, and then what else did we do? Yeah, we just walked around a little bit in the pit area some more, and then pretty much by the time we were like walking around and stuff like that, it was about to be time for the autograph signings. So I went in line for the Ken Roczen one, and actually I had a little cool conversation with Shane McElrath. I mean, he had a nice mustache, I will say. Shout out to Shane McElrath for his nice handlebar mustache he's got going on there. Shout out to him. The line was kind of like moving slow for the Suzuki signing, and so literally me, Kyle, and Connor Nip, the boys, we were just literally just in line waiting, and we were just literally having like small talk with Shane McElrath and Kyle Chisholm, which was it was cool. I honestly thought it was cool because I mean, when do you get the chance to just have a one-on-one talk or just like a little like group chat with a Supercross rider? I mean, you don't get that every day. So that was honestly awesome for me to do. And then, saw Ken Roczen, took a cool picture with them, asked him a couple questions, and it was just awesome. And then from there, I literally went from the Suzuki tent all the way to the, like, 2 more rows down to the Red Bull KTM tent because, I mean, that's my team. I don't want to get pictures and autographs from Chase Sexton and, and Aaron Plessinger. But unfortunately, with Chase Sexton injuring his hand, I'm pretty sure he was over at the Alpine Stars medical booth or tent trailer, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure he was there trying to get his hand like checked up and stuff like that. So unfortunately, he wasn't there for the autograph signing. But 250 rider Julian Beaumier, he was there signing autographs, and Aaron Plessinger, the cowboy, he was still there having fun with the fans and all that stuff. And of course, again, shout out to my girlfriend for waiting in line for me, so that way I wouldn't have to be in the back for the Red Bull KTM autographs. So thank you, babe. Thank you so much. And then from there, we went back to the parking lot area. We basically had like pretty much 2 hours to kill before the first, gate drop or the opening ceremonies for the races. And so went into the parking lot. Me and my boy Kyle, we were like making our picks for like, I think it was RM Fantasy League, making our picks for whoever's going to win. And my boy Kyle, he's a Ken Roczen fan. Ken Roczen fan, huge. I think he's the number 1 Ken Roczen fan, honestly. And he was doubting Roczen. He was doubting his own boy for winning. And I always look at the qualifying times. I always look to see like, okay, you know, who's got, excuse me. I always like to see who's got like, you know, good history within these races inside the stadium, and you know, like who's got like the best qualifying times and all that stuff like that. And I was like, Roczen's looking good today. Roczen's looking good. I'm gonna back up Roczen. I picked Roczen for the win. And Kyle was like, "You're picking Roczen?" I said, "Yeah. You're not gonna back up your boy?" And he was like, "You know what? Yeah, I gotta back up my boy Roczen. I gotta back him up." And sure enough, guess who came out on top? Guess who came out on top? Kickstart Kenny got the win there in Glendale. And it was awesome to see. It was awesome. I mean, I looked at Kyle and I was like, "What did I tell you? What did I tell you?" And he was like, "You're good. You're good." And yeah, but then like I said, we waited basically. We killed 2 hours there. My dad, he was he was grilling out there, of course. Made some delicious tacos, and then basically everyone basically took a nap before the races started. Also got to see Buttery Films out there. I didn't get to see Medium, but I saw Buttery Films out there in Glendale and took a picture with them. Me and my girlfriend, we were going to get my brother because apparently you need to scan your ticket to get out of the stadium and like back in and blah blah blah. And on my way to go pick up Jet, my brother, we just saw Buttery Films there, just hanging out, taking pictures with some fans. And me and my girlfriend, we were like, "Oh, that," like I was telling my girlfriend, "That's him. That's Buttery Films. That's the guy that Sammy wanted to take a picture with us talking about." And I saw him there, and I took a picture with him, and then I showed Sammy afterwards, and he got all jealous. But then he went back inside of the pit party area, and then he saw him there, and he took a picture with them, which was really cool. Him and Medium, he took a picture with Medium, which was cool. I didn't get to see Medium. It was just Buttery that I took a picture with, which I mean, still, it's cool. Love Buttery, love Medium. I mean, they're cool guys on YouTube and their content is amazing. So again, please be sure to check them out for cool, you know, Supercross and like dirt bike content, whatever on YouTube. And tell them I sent you there. but then yeah, then after all that, the pictures were done, the 2 hours went by, went inside of the stadium for the races, opening ceremonies. They were awesome, you know, the rider intros, and then sat there, watched all the racing, and then once it was done, you know, we were all a little bit gassed out, a little bit tired, of course, but the adrenaline was still kind of keeping us up. And then on the way back home to Tucson, we stopped at a Raising Cane's because we were hungry, and we love Cane's, love the chicken, and so we ate at Cane's, and then from Cane's, then we drove all the way back home, and you know, called it a night there. But it was such an awesome experience there in Glendale. You know, like I said, just sharing that moment, you know, with, you know, the friends, the family, with the huge group, and even got to see some familiar faces out there, you know, at the event. So it was just awesome. It was just awesome just to be there and to enjoy the Supercross racing. And then so yeah, so that wraps up the whole talk with Glendale. And so now moving on from that, there are two other things, of course, or three other things that I do want to talk about before we wrap up the episode. And so if you are followers of the sport, you'll definitely know what happened in Austin, Texas for the 250 East Coast, and that is Austin Forkner. If you do not know what happened to Austin Forkner or for who this rider is, so Austin Forkner, he is part of Team Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki, and he has been a part of the lights class for, I can't remember. I think I want to say he started racing the lights class back in, I want to say maybe like 2015. I want to say maybe 2015, 2016, that he was in the lights class, the 250 lights class. And he has just had such bad luck, I want to say, because Austin Forkner, he is a fast rider, a very, very fast and a very talented rider. I mean, the guy has multiple, you know, wins under his belt in the lights class, and he can do it all. Like he is like he's good. Like he's good outdoors. He has good Supercross, but he has just had such bad luck on the bike that every time that he crashes, he pretty much is injured. Like no matter what, he just gets injured, and the season is over for him. Excuse me there. But so in Austin, Texas for round 2 of the East Coast, Austin Forkner, he was out in front, got the whole shot and everything, and he was leading basically in the entire race through. Looked like it was going to be another win for him. But unfortunately, around the 2-minute mark, like 2 minute 20 seconds, I want to say, left on the clock, he was coming through to this rhythm section. He was coming around a sand turn, left-hander sand turn. Then he was going through this long rhythm section, and he came up short on this step tabletop jump, which honestly, I hate this jump. Honestly, I'm sorry, the Dirtworks crew, whoever designed the idea for like literally 9 different tracks, I want to say, I think it was, I counted them, 9 different tracks have the exact same little step tabletop jump as the first jump. Like, come on, guys, like, so original there. Like, I honestly thought it was stupid and dumb, like, to have this obstacle, because now look what it's done here. Because Austin Faulkner came up short on basically tripling over the step tabletop jump. He came up about like maybe 2-3 feet short, tapped the back wheel, and I mean, I'll show a clip right here, and all of his weight from casing the jump came forward on the bike, and his left hand slipped off the handlebars, and he got slingshotted off of his bike and landed back first onto the concrete of the stadium, and he just ragdolled. And he had posted a video on Instagram, of his explanation of and his interpretation of what happened to him and what he was thinking during the whole crash situation. And he had said that the medical crews told him that he was knocked out, unconscious, for 5 minutes. And he was still breathing, thankfully, but they didn't know, like, if he was, like, in a coma or something. Like, it was just very scary. Like, it was just a whole, in general, and all of it, it was just a scary situation. I mean, the fans, if you watch back the race, on Peacock or whatever, you could hear the fans in the stadium. They just all gasp and scream, and like they couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe it that once again Austin Faulkner goes down and is pretty much done out of the season. And as sad as it is for Austin Faulkner, I mean, I like the guy. He's a great writer, a great person. I love Austin Faulkner. But with all of this happening, with all the injuries that he has been through, because he has not been able to, I think, finish the season for like the past 3-4 years because of injuries and crashes. It's just been sad for Austin Faulkner recently. And I saw his Instagram post. I mean, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Austin Faulkner on his Instagram, he posted like a 10-minute long video explaining, like I said, the whole crash situation and really what's going to be next for him, like what's on his mindset right now as he thinks about, what had happened in Arlington. And it's just sad. It's really sad to see that to a writer like him with so much talent, so much potential for him. I mean, the guy has gotten so close, I think like 3 times, maybe 2, to winning a Lights championship. But because of crashes and mistakes that he has made in like the last minute, the last race, it's costing him a championship. So, like, I want this rider to do good. Everyone wants to see Austin Faulkner do good, to win a championship, to finish a season without, going down, without getting hurt. But it's still happening to him. The bad luck is still happening to him. And this last crash, he said it himself in his Instagram post that it was the closest feeling to death that he has ever felt. He thought he was going to die because of how bad and serious the crash was. I mean, it looked bad. It looked terrible, the crash. And just, yeah, I mean, it was just terrible. Like, it just, like, I don't know, like, how I would, like, myself explain it, like, how really, like, bad and sad I feel for Austin Faulkner, because the guy was literally, in tears when he posted his video on Instagram, because he knows that This is his job. This is his career, the sport of supercross, motocross. But if this is going to keep going, the crashes and everything, and he's just going to hurt his body and make it worse, then it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it for him and for his body, for his family to be scared every single time that he gets back on that dirt bike, knowing that if he crashes again, it could be over for him, over for his life. That's not something that they should be worried about, and not something that Austin Forkner needs right now. So, in my opinion, and in my thoughts, because I thought about it, I think Austin Forkner really has like two options here, because he's been in the 250 class for, honestly, far too long, in my opinion. I mean, I get it. He wants to win a 250 championship before he goes up to the premier class. Like, I totally get it. I mean, that's basically every lights rider, 250 rider goal, is to win a lights championship before they move up to the premier class, the 450 class. But Austin Forkner has been in the 250 lights class for far too long now. I mean, like I said, he should have won a championship already. He should have won a lights championship a while back ago. But because of mistakes and crashes, he has lost those chances, lost those opportunities. And I think he's got two options here, in my opinion. In my opinion, he's got two options here. He's got either A, forget about the 250 lights class. Forget about it. It's done. Just move up to the 450s. Just move up to the premier class, the 450 class, and then just basically just fresh start, fresh page. If he signs a contract with Kawasaki again, or if he goes to a move team, whatever. Just go up to the 450 class, just so that he could tell himself and literally just say that, like, yes, I'm here now. Like, I'm in the 450 class. I'm here now competing with the big dogs. And not that there's not, big names in the 250 class. Of course there's big names in the 250s. But at the same time, it's like the 450 class, that's what people want to watch. That's what people are there, at these supercross races for. I mean, yes, the 250 class, it is entertaining. It is fun to watch. There's good battles for sure. But the 450 class, that's where all the big names are. That's where the big bucks are. And if Forkner is just too scared, or he's telling himself that he's not ready to move up to the 450 class yet, then my second opinion or second option for him is that it's time to hang up the gloves. It's just time to retire, and it's like there's more risk to him than there is a reward. He's putting too much on the line with his body than to come out on top as a champion. Like I mean, it's kind of hard for me to explain, but like he has more to lose than he has to win, pretty much, in my opinion. Because one more bad injury for Forkner, and I mean, it could be that he'll be paralyzed. God forbid, knock on wood, that this doesn't happen for him. But like, if he gets one more bad crash, Forkner, it could be the end of him. Which, again, I hope it does not happen. But at the same time, it's hard to just ignore the fact that, like, this guy loves riding his dirt bike. He loves racing. He's got that competitive energy in him. And of course, he does not want to stop. But at the same time, is it really the best for him? Like, is this still something that he should be allowed to do, So, but I mean, of course, the choice is on him. It's not on me. And I just hope that, for the sake of Austin Forkner, that everything, just works out for him in a way. I hope that he still sticks around, of course, with the sport of supercars. Like in a way, like, I don't care if he becomes like a sideline reporter, announcer, or whatever, or he's up there in the booth, like I said, with Ricky Carmichael announcing the races. Like, hopefully he can stick around doing something like that. But racing wise, I'm not so sure. But like I said, it's all on Austin Forkner. It's not on me, and we will see later on down the road what happens with them. So anyways, that's the end of the Austin Forkner topic. And then moving on here, we're almost at an hour here of the recording, so we'll try to wrap it up quick here. So Of course, the big question that, that I've been getting asked actually by some of my friends and other people is Tomac back? Is Eli Tomac back? And I'm sorry to say this, but I still don't think that he's back yet. I mean, don't get me wrong, Tomac fans, don't get me wrong. Yes, the guy has been on the podium now. He's been actually doing good these past few races. But then, if you guys don't remember correctly, him, Tomac, and Jet Lawrence, they have a little bit of a beef going on there. I mean, Jet Lawrence is calling Tomac the old guy and that he's not a beast anymore, you know? And Tomac, he was clapping back at Jet Lawrence like, oh, hey, buddy, like, don't count me out just yet. Stop calling me the old guy. Like, the beast is out now. Like, I've been getting second place on the podium and all this and that, which, I mean, it's still good for him and good for the team. He's like, watch, when it comes to Daytona, my turf, Daytomac, as they call him, he's like, watch this. I'm going to come out on top here. But then guess what happened? Jet Lawrence was behind Tomac. Tomac was in front of Jet Lawrence. Tomac was beating Jet Lawrence. He wasn't first, but Tomac was beating Jet Lawrence. And then Jet Lawrence came and passed him and beat him in Daytona, in his basically his home turf, his track. So the question of who's better, who's faster, Jet Lawrence or Eli Tomac, I think it's been answered for you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry, Tomac fans. I know you probably hate me saying it. I know you don't want to hear it, but until I see Eli Tomac win a race beating Jet Lawrence, that is when I'll say, there's the old Eli. There's the old Eli. There he is. That's the Tomac I remember seeing, back in, 2020, 2022, dominating the races, That is who I wanted to see, That is the Tomac I remember. But as of right now, I still don't think Tomac is there. I still don't think that he is 100% back to his old winning ways. But we'll see. This Saturday, the race is going to be in Atlanta. So for round number 9, yes, round number 9. So we will see, all you Tomac fans. We will see if Tomac is back. We'll see he's back. And then moving on here, speaking of Daytona, come on, fans. I mean, come on. If you haven't seen already, I'll throw in some clips right here. Literally, Jet Lawrence crosses the finish line. He wins the race. He goes over to, the fans to do the, Daytona burnout, with every Supercross race. The rider who wins the race, they like to go to the fence where the fans are at, getting the full, like, the up-close experience. And, he's burning out rubber there. The fans were literally reaching over to Jet Lawrence's helmet and trying to rip the goggles off of his helmet. Like, come on, people. Like, come on. Let him throw the goggles to you. Don't just freaking rip it off him. And then not only that, two guys ripped off the goggles of Jet Lawrence. And then they were playing tug of war, fighting who's going to keep the goggles. Like, embarrassing. Come on. Stop being so freaking childish like that. Like, come on. And then not only that, the race hasn't even finished yet. And the fans are storming onto the track, like almost about to get hit by Jason Anderson, Aaron Plesser, and a bunch of other riders. The race is not done yet, people. Let the race finish, and then you can storm the track. They stormed it as soon as Jet Lawrence crossed the finish line. Like, that is like embarrassing for the sport, for us, the fans. Like, I kid you not, I will not be surprised if they either do A, get rid of Daytona entirely, get rid of the race because of it, or B, get rid of the up-close fan section, and the fans have to now just only sit in the stands to watch the Daytona race. Because that's completely unacceptable. Like, you cannot do that. Like, fans should not be able to, first of all, be able to easily, not to as easily be able to get onto a race course. And then B, they should not be able to go on a track while they consciously know a race is still going on. Just because the checker flag waves for one rider doesn't mean that, oh, the race is over for everyone else. No. They still got to cross the finish line too, people, like how it is in every racing sport. So, yeah, I mean, come on, Daytona. Come on, Daytona fans. Like, really? Like, it's embarrassing. It is absolutely embarrassing. So I will not be surprised if next year's Daytona race, they change up a lot of things because of the fans. Like, genuinely, I will not be surprised. And so, yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a good way to end the episode there. We're pretty much now at an hour of the episode. So before we close off the episode, ladies and gentlemen, of course, I want to make sure, I always like to, not always, I haven't done it recently, but I want to remind you guys how many more days are left until the 2024 Summer Olympics. That is right. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the Paris 2024 Olympics are happening this year, and the countdown is still going on. We are T-minus 142 days from the recording of this episode, 142 days out until the Summer Olympic Games, which start on July 26th. So the countdown is getting closer for the Summer Olympic Games. But with that being said, I believe we're going to wrap up the episode there. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in on this one. Once again, sorry for the long wait. I mean, the coughing and everything like that. Again, sorry about that. I'm probably going to cut those out in the edit of this video just so you guys don't hear it. But once again, thank you guys so much for being patient and for all your support. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you all in the next episode. This is Walla Fausto. See you later.
We're taking